Hi guys, I'm Kaya. Welcome to Blooming Season with Kaya. I'm so glad that you're here for another video. If you are back, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, welcome girl. We're so happy to have you. And boys, this is not just for girls because men, you all grow and bloom as well, right? Not just us ladies, all right? And this is an open space for everyone. So let me adjust this a little. Don't mind my shit in the background, okay? I don't know if I'm gonna do like a green screen and blank that out, but it is what it is. Today we are talking about journaling, and if you follow any of my pages, like you know, journaling is that girl. Like, I love journaling because it's so underrated for how you can express and explore your feelings by yourself and get healing and move further in your life without having to rely on anybody else. If I keep like looking down, I'm like checking the light on these mics because when they go out while you're in the middle of recording the video, it's just awful. Okay. So I wanted to talk to you all today about 3 ways that I have used journaling to heal, to grow, to change my life really, and how you can do the same. So I've kind of talked to you all a little bit about where I was in my life before, but just to kind of give you a background, I've had a lot of emotional challenges in my life. I feel like from a young child, I was always trying to be heard, understood, seen, valued, and trying to be validated by people that I learned later just were never going to be able to do that for me in the way that I would have liked and probably would have helped me so much more on my journey, okay? But everything happens for a reason, and we are where we are now. I felt like when I would go talk to my parents about different things, they would act like they didn't have a clue about what I was talking about. They weren't able to give me the emotional safety and validation that I was looking for and really needed. So, for example, I would go and talk to my mom about something that happened with one of my girlfriends, right? And it was like she could never just be like, oh yeah, like I went through that with one of my friends, and connect with me on the experience. It was always kind of like, well, what did you do? What are you not telling me? What is the other part of this? And I'm like, bruh, my friend hurt my feelings. Like, why is there no empathy or connection to how I am feeling without you judging or criticizing me and how I showed up and trying to tell me how I was wrong, but instead just like, oh yeah, I went through something similar, or that must be really hard. Like, I'm sorry that you're going through that. What do you think you should do? Let's talk out some options. Like, how can you handle that? So with that, and I will say with my dad as well, like, couldn't talk to him about anything. You know, when you feel like you can't talk to your parents from a very early age, it's kind of like, well, who can I talk to? The universe did bless me with other people that came into my life that I did feel comfortable talking to, and I've done my very best to be that for other people. Hence why I got into therapy. um, but even just people in my life, like being that friend that people could express themselves to, being the person that other children could come to and tell me how they felt and really get validation and understanding rather than judgment and criticism. It became evident to me that I always kind of had to have this mistrust of people, or that I couldn't really express my feelings in the way that I needed to, and I started journaling. I don't remember what age I started journaling, but I know it was early. And I remember even having that like keypad thing. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture, but like the keypad thing where it was like digital and you could put your little journaling notes in there or whatever. I got one of those for Christmas. Honey, love that thing. And then also writing my feelings down and expressing what I felt like I couldn't express to the adults in my life. And that didn't change as I got older. I stopped journaling as much or as often. Like now, honey, here's my journal. Every day, almost. Like I started this journal October 30th, 2024, and almost the whole thing is done. Just a few months later, okay? So I was just looking at it. I was like, I only have like 5 more pages left. I've really been able to take my journaling to another level to where it actually feels more helpful when I use it. Okay. So these are 3 ways that I have used journaling to help me, especially in the past couple years, which I shared with you all in the last video. I was grieving, I was sad, I was depressed. I was depressed before that. Okay. Let me be clear. I did struggle with depression for most of my life. I can remember being about 10 and feeling very unhappy, um, feeling like my family didn't care about me, feeling that I was never going to be accepted by anyone, and just feeling really lonely from a very young age. First way that I really use journaling to help me heal and to grow and change my life is exploring my emotions. Okay. So, growing up, a lot of us weren't taught how to explore our emotions or to even know what they are. Like, we think of happy, sad, scared, and that's about it. Like maybe disappointed, maybe frustrated a little bit, but then even as kids, us being frustrated or angry was like a bad thing. So we weren't taught how to explore those feelings to understand, like, well, why am I frustrated? Why am I mad? And what can I do with these feelings? And those feelings have to go somewhere because basically they're like just haunting me and not going anywhere or getting any kind of resolve. And I'm like, this can't be life. And especially being a therapist, like I already knew this cannot be life. Started to get more in touch with how I was feeling and why. What was the root of the issue? So let's take anger, for instance. Anger is what we call a secondary emotion, which means that typically underneath it is some other feeling that we're not exploring deep enough. We'll take parents as an example. Okay, I was really angry with my dad about our relationship and how things were. Once I explored more of that feeling, I found that really it was more of disappointment. It was more hurt than angry. So even my teenage self would react in very angry ways, yelling, slamming doors probably at some point or another, or getting disrespectful, as they like to call it. But a lot of it was really sadness, like, and disappointment that I don't have this relationship with my father that I wish that I could have. Well, as you all know, anger does not just go away because you're an adult. Like you feel anger as an adult as well. And you need a safe space to be able to express it. My feelings needed me, not him, me to validate those emotions that I was feeling. So, how do you do that? Because otherwise, I was just sitting there hurt. I was just sitting in hurt and pain, disappointment, sadness. And I was like, I can't stay here. This cannot be the rest of my life. What can I do? And what I can do is I can journal about how I feel. So that's what I started to do, was getting to the root of the feelings, because I know as a therapist, as long as we're staying on surface level, we're not actually moving anywhere. We're not getting to the next point that we need to get to, because the root is still there. When you have weeds in your yard, if you do not yank those things, I won't say the B word. I'm trying to be good on YouTube, y'all. But if you don't yank those out of the ground from the root and treat the problem, guess what? They're going to be right back. They're going to be right back. Now, let me tell you this. Yes, they will come back up. But the more that you treat them, the longer it's going to take for them to come up, the less frequent they're going to come back up, the less of a pain that it's going to be to get it out because you've already started the process. You feel it? Are you following? Okay. So that is what journaling was for me. Getting to the root of what was going on, what was the problem, what can I change, what can I do to shift from hurt to healed. So I gave myself the space and time to validate how I was feeling, taking away the need for someone else to validate how I feel and doing it myself. And I'm telling you, is it harder? Yeah, it is. But it's so much more empowering for you when you're like, okay, all right, just like, I'm good. I've dealt with that now and I'm okay. Even though the situation itself might still hurt. There's obviously still a part of me that wishes that things could be different with my parents, but it's not. So that is what it is. And it has its place. I revisit that place when I need to for a very short period of time and I move on. The other way that I use this to explore emotions was for conversations, I would journal about it. How do I feel? Before I come and talk to you and try to explain this to you, I was able to understand how I feel first. You can't go to someone and say I'm disappointed if you haven't connected with the fact that you're disappointed. I also was able to go in knowing where I am communicating from and that I am communicating clearly, because some people, they're really just determined to not understand you or to act like they don't understand you, to try to invalidate your point and make themselves feel like they are justified in the way that they're treating you. But when I have journaled through this and I know the place that where I'm coming from and where I'm communicating from, I can easily see, okay, you're just not trying to get it. This also helped me to go into emotional conversations and not be as emotional. Like I can go and I can stand strong and I can hold on to my boundaries and have a conversation with you and communicate how I feel. Don't forget to comment and let me know if you're going to use any of these or if you've been in some of these same situations. What situations is this bringing up for you that you can relate to? Like, yeah, probably if I would have journaled through this, then I probably would have had a different result. Typically, what we want is for them to see I'm disappointed. I want you to see past my anger. I want you to see past my frustration. I want you to see past my elevated energy to see what I'm truly feeling. But most people, they're not going to do that. They're not. They're not. So you're setting yourself up for failure because you're expecting one thing, but it's not going to happen. But when you do it for yourself first, when you give yourself the validation, it don't even matter. When you get to that point, you're going to see what I'm saying. I promise. But it doesn't matter at all. Because I've already given the space in the room for how I feel. And I've dealt with it. And I moved on. The last one is reprogramming my mindset. So I've told you a little bit in pieces that I grew up like a lot of you. I am a cycle breaker. I am a black sheep. And a lot of times we are very misunderstood. We are not heard. And we end up with deep emotional wounds for sure. Okay. Because when you're just looking for acceptance from your family, the people who are supposed to love you, the people who are supposed to just accept you for who you are at your core without manipulating and controlling you to be who they want you to be in order to love and accept you, it is very hard on the heart and soul, because it's like, why do I have to change just to be accepted by you? Like, it's not you. They don't accept themselves. They cannot accept you. You know that you have always thought differently than them. You always saw things in a different light. And again, when you try to express those things, like, you're shut down for it. Or over time, what we learned as people pleasers is, I have to shift and be this certain version of myself and only present as this certain version of myself to be accepted by you. And it was wrong. So I would use journaling in that sense to get back to who I was, because what happens is they teach you that and you learn to conform, because I want you to love me, I want you to accept me. But it was very opposite of who I actually was and who I was born to be, how I was born to be and to live, right? So eventually I felt lost. I felt so conflicted in the way that I thought it would go about in the world. I'm just gonna light a I just feel other energy that's not supposed to be here, and it's distracting as hell. Whew. All right, get my own energy back, because that's crazy. Reprogramming my mindset, really to go back to who I always was. Your family having mindsets of lack, having anxiety about everything, the way they think about the world, okay, and what you can and can't have. I had to get back to my old way of thinking that led with faith, that led with, I'm taken care of, so what am I worried about? I used journaling when different mindsets were coming up, beliefs about myself, and said, okay, this is what I was taught, but this is how I feel. Where is the conflict and how do I mend that? A lot of it is subconscious. Like, a lot of times you don't even realize that you're doing it until you actually get into the place of being intentional about identifying what those mindset blocks are and how you can change them and shift them to believe differently about yourself, your life, your circumstances, what can happen for you, all those different things. The way that we were raised has a huge impact on how we think, how we move, how we do things. Like, it is embedded into absolutely everything that we do, whether we realize it or not. It all came from somewhere, because we are creatures of habit. So we identify what has been taught to us as being okay or whatever, and we adopt those behaviors, and that is how we live our life. Okay. However, if you want to change your life, you have to create new habits, which starts with new thoughts. But you cannot change anything until you acknowledge that the old version is there. I cannot change being an alcoholic if I don't first acknowledge that alcohol is a problem. It's kind of the same. I cannot change the lower mindset thoughts that I have about myself until I acknowledge that they are there. Then I acknowledge where they come from. Then I say, okay, how do I want to change that? The reason why you struggle with certain things will always be the reason why you struggle with those things. Okay, the origin of what caused the issue is never going to be different. But when you look at the issue differently, then you can change it and say, okay, yes, that was the origin story, but what is the new one? So by using journaling, I was able to break down a lot of those thoughts and beliefs that were happening that I could now change for myself. I'll give another example. Today in my meditation, it was brought up like a story of my family, right? Going into 8th grade, my family moved from our starter home to a home that felt like a dream home. Was it a dream home? Not exactly, but it was bigger, it was nicer. Me and my siblings all had our own rooms until my brother came and he shared with my sister or, with my parents. Um, but it was nicer. It felt like we had finally arrived. A couple years later, something was happening with the housing market, blah, 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 blah. I was too young to even give two craps about what all that meant. We ended up having to move from that big home where we all had our own space and that we were proud to have people come over, to back to sharing rooms. Okay, so it was like a downgrade is what it felt like. Then from that house, we ended up having to move into my grandma's house. That felt even worse. Now we were even more on top of each other, and it was a rough time for all of us. It was extremely challenging. Okay, in many, many, many different ways. Like, I'm sure all of us could come and tell you a different story of how we were impacted by that move and being where we were. Now, eventually, we moved out of my grandma's house and we moved to another home. But what I recognized in my meditation is that that story was still with me. Do I think about it all the time? No. But as I prepare to get back into my own place, that story has come up and it feels scary. Ooh, not gonna get emotional. Okay. Yes, I am, and I'm not gonna apologize for my emotions, but ooh, I did not expect. Oh. Past couple years, like, I've had a very similar story of being on my own and being okay, taking care of myself and being independent, to moving into my grandma's house and then moving to my cousin's, and now trying to get back to that version of independence, and there being this like, but what if the same thing happens, like, what if this happens again, and it causing a lot of fear. And I had to, during my meditation, be like, no, like, that doesn't have to be your story that you're attaching to, that good things only last for a short amount of time, or that even though you get yourself out, like, you're going right back. I did not expect that at all whatsoever. But having this clearly subconscious fear, which is probably even deeper than what I realized, of the same thing happening to me. That yes, I will get there and I'll get it and it'll be the dream, and then boom, I'm back on the bottom. While I did acknowledge all the feelings and things like that during my meditation, I am also going to go back and journal about that experience and use that to reprogram my mindset to understand that was my story as a teenager. That is not my story as 34, 35-year-old me. Okay, and being able to let that go and not holding on to that as a fear, because really it only becomes a crutch. It really only becomes a crutch that eventually gets kicked from up under you. And I have to, one, acknowledge that that fear is there, that I have had that experience, and that I am a little bit terrified that that same thing is going to happen to me. And also being strong in my faith that it's not. Why is it not? Because I'm taking different steps because that is not what God told me. Because that's just not where my life is going. And I know that at this point in time, the elevation and growth that I have experienced in the last 2 years are setting me up for success, not failure. Has it been hard? Very. Has it been uncomfortable? Extremely. Have there been frustrating and upsetting moments? Absolutely. But it's all helped me grow. It's all helped me to become like an elevated version of myself. And as long as I am making the positive changes that I know to make, that I am continuing to be a cycle breaker, I will break the cycle and I will elevate to a completely different level. And I don't have to worry about that being my story. It is safe for me to have good things without worrying about how it's going to fall apart. Even though my life has not always told that story, I am in a different place and I don't always have to revert back to what did happen when I am teaching myself and learning from others, the universe, whatever, a different way. Whew. So, using journaling to reprogram those stories, to connect with the old stories, like where am I? What is holding me back? What are the blocks? What has been going on program in my mind in the background that we need to update? And how would I like to update that? Okay. Whew. Okay, that is not where I thought I was going, but here we are. Sheesh. Currently, I am doing a journaling challenge for April 2025. It's not too late for you to get caught up. I don't care what day you got on here, okay? You can get caught up and find the journaling prompts and the live videos that go with each prompt. So what I'm doing is I'm providing you a journaling prompt for every day, and then on the Facebook Live, we are talking about that prompt and showing you how to take it deeper and how to think of it differently in a way that's really going to work for you. The Facebook group, all of the stuff is linked in the description. I'm going live at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every day, and we are going to take your journaling to a different level and get more out of it so that you can create and live the life that you desire. Okay, and so you can make the changes that you need to make mentally, spiritually, emotionally. With the challenge, I am doing a different theme each week. Week one is daily reflections, just looking simply at your day and how you're doing and connecting with your body and your emotions in a different way than you typically would. Week two is emotions. We're diving into different emotions. We're connecting with how we feel, connecting with stories that have made us feel different ways so that you get used to how it feels and get used to looking for different emotions. Week three is letters to our past selves, and we are connecting with different experiences that we've had in the past versions of ourselves, and giving them some space to express like different things that we typically ignore because we don't give ourselves time to think about it. The last week, week four, is us using future projections and what we want our futures to look like. I'm really excited about that because you really could use writing to make things different for you and to change your life. I've done it many times. And sometimes, we get to points where we forget that we can do that. We forget to be in the energy of writing it down and watching it play out the way that we choose and want to. This is one of the best manifestation techniques. And so we're going to connect with our future self so that we know that we're so that we know where we are going and we have a much more clear view and vision of what that looks like for us. Okay. So get the Facebook group, Blooming Season with Khia. Look at the Patreon as well. The prompts will also be in my stories every day on Instagram. All of them. Okay. I've been just posting them on each story because I have too many Instagrams. But whatever. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful to you and helped you think of journaling in a different way. The last thing that I will share with you is I also have a journaling course. It will take you about an hour to get through this course, and it is completely free at this moment. It's called Right to Thrive, and it is journaling techniques for clarity, healing, and growth, and teaching you how to look at journaling in a different way so that you get more out of it. The journaling course is available. I will also link it. You can find it on the Patreon as well. Again, it is free. Lastly, I know I said that last time, but I also have a guided journal that's available for you. It is digital, so it's a download. As soon as you purchase, boom, it's yours. Finding your magic journal is to help you reconnect with yourself. Like I was describing earlier, being a former people pleaser, being the black sheep, being a cycle breaker, a lot of times our thoughts get mixed up in our beliefs, get mixed up with what other people have told us to think and believe. And this is reconnecting you with you so that you can find all of the best, good, bad, the ugly parts of yourself and learn to be accepting of it. Each page has a different journaling prompt, and it also has positive affirmations on the bottom to help you, again, reprogram your mindset to think differently so that you can move forward differently. Okay. All right. If you made it to the end, shout out to you. Leave me a comment, again, like, subscribe, and all those things. And then find me on Instagram and get in a group, the Blooming Season with Khia group. I would love to have you. And so I'll talk to you next time. Bye.